Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Valpo Basketball Weekly. Brennan Vickery with you. Glad to be joined via Zoom by the head coach of the Valpo women's basketball program, Mary Evans. Valpo Basketball Weekly is brought to you by our friends at Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute, and two victories to discuss this week. Before we get into some of the details, just what does it mean to go on the road and to sweep a road weekend in the Missouri Valley Conference? And maybe what was the emotion like at the end of the victory on Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, this conference is extremely difficult. And so going on the road and getting a split is a really remarkable accomplishment. So anytime you can go on the road and sweep, they don't come very easily. So I think it was a really great feeling. I think Evansville, that game going into overtime and fighting back. And again, winning an overtime game on the road is not an easy feat as well. So to do that, I thought was remarkable. And then to bounce back after, a 45-minute game and play an Indiana State team that is extremely physical and end up being the tougher team. And I think that was what we challenged our players during the game yesterday, was to be not just the physically tougher team, but the mentally tougher team. And I thought it was a real team effort. I think everyone that played affected the game. I think we had some people coming off the bench that really stepped up and made some big plays for us offensively and defensively. And, for me, it was an emotional game. I think this team has continued to fight, continued to grow. They've never stopped believing in their abilities, and watching them find success this weekend meant a lot to me and hopefully to them as well.
And one thing fans might not know about is some of the challenges that go on behind the scenes, and that included the travel to start the weekend. I think nearly a 12-hour bus ride on Thursday. Obviously, people know about some of the weather conditions that were taking place. What was that experience like, and how were you able to move past some of those off-the-court challenges to get a victory on Friday night?
Yeah, we left with plenty of time. We talked to the bus company about moving it up or postponing our departure, and they felt like if we gave ourselves 6, 7, 8 hours to get down there, we'd be okay. So we left right around noon, to get in there hopefully in time to shoot. And if not, it wasn't going to be a big deal. And we got on 65 and came to a screeching halt about, a half mile onto 65 down around Hebron. Got caught behind like 2 or 3 accidents. And I don't think we started moving again until about 4:30, 4:45. So, we were lucky. The people in the cars on the interstate, I think obviously we were in a much worse situation than us on a bus with Wi-Fi and DirecTV and snacks in the bathroom. So, we enjoyed it. The kids had a great time. They talked a lot, got to spend some time together. And then we got moving. And I think the next biggest challenge was trying to find a place to get food because we needed to eat dinner. And from when we got moving, there were more accidents ahead. So our initial plan was to try to get to Lafayette, and then we decided to just head towards Terre Haute and see what we could find. So we eventually, about 10 p.m., found a McDonald's that was still open in Terre Haute. So that was a good pre-meal the night before the game meal. A little different than normal, but we got in by midnight, got a good night's rest, got our work in the next day. And, those things happen. I feel very fortunate to be here 4 years. And this is really the first time we've ever had any type of a travel event. So our luck ran out, but it all worked out in the end. And sometimes those are the memories and the things that these kids will laugh about in 5 or 10 years will be that more so than what happens on the basketball court. So that hopefully they got to make some memories this weekend as well.
Since you won McDonald's every trip now, right?
Yeah, I guess they were excited. I never realized how excited they would be to have McDonald's.
Well, let's talk about the fact that you overcame not hitting threes at a high clip in the game on Friday. How are you able to overcome that when typically games that you've won have been games where you've had success beyond the 3-point arc? And how'd you overcome that to still win the game against Evansville?
I thought they did a good job of not settling. They continue to attack the paint and, finish around the rim. I thought we crashed the glass pretty well, got some offensive rebounds, got some extra possessions, and then I thought we hit some late that were really big. Shea hit a big one. Carrie hit a big one. I think Olivia might hit a big one late too. So, they hit them when we needed them to. And, that was one of the things we talked about after the game. It's just being proud of being able to win a game when we went 5 for 26 and shot under 20%. That doesn't typically happen. So to be able to find a way to get the job done, even when that wasn't working for us, I think showed a lot of character and a lot of toughness as well.
Let's talk about Maya Dunson's game on Sunday. 13 points, 7 rebounds, hit a really big shot late in the game. What did you see from her?
I saw confidence. And I think Maya, she's a kid through the recruiting process. When I recruited her out of high school, who shot the ball really, really well. Came in here last year and shot it well to start. And then, kind of, I think lost a little confidence in her shot. And she's been putting time in the gym. She's been getting in the gym and working on it. And I've never lost any confidence in her ability to rebound and guard. I think she does a really good job for us. She's a physical post defender that can also switch onto some smaller guards and move her feet and keep them out of the paint, wall up and do some of those things. So, playing a team like Indiana State with really physical post players that loved offensive rebound, with guards that like to switch onto our post and drive them to the basket. I knew before the game, I thought going to a smaller lineup was going to be really good for us. And she stepped up and she did her job and she rebounded, she guarded really, really well. And then she was open and she made those catch and shoot shots. And I think if she can continue to do that consistently, that will be the new norm of what you get out of Maya. And she also had some great drives late that we didn't talk about, but she had some shot fake drives. I think she had two really big layups for us late too, where she got those posts up in the air and was able to take advantage of their bigger post on our smaller posts or guards, whatever you want to call them.
Well, third time this year, I've asked you a question like this, but I got to ask you about another 1,000-point scorer. What's it to have Grace White join that group, and what's it been like to see a number of your players get to that career milestone this year?
I mean, it's such a huge milestone. I mean, I did not score 1,000 points. I was nowhere close to it. And, to watch these young women achieve something that they worked so hard for is just really exciting. I know it meant a lot to her. It meant a lot to her family. She's worked hard. She's persevered through a lot. And I'm very, very happy that she's going to be able to have that in moving forward. Like she'll be able to tell people I scored 1,000 points. And, I hope she gets, 4 or 5 more games to score even more points. And hopefully we can say it's 1,100 points. And not just 1,000, but really happy for her family. And, happy to have 3 really, really talented players that have achieved those goals. But a lot of that happens because of the other players on their team, getting them the basketball and understanding that they have good matchups. So it was great.
And finally, we look ahead to Friday night. What adjustments do you need to make from the first matchup with Loyola to come away with the win this weekend?
I think a lot of the Loyola game was toughness. I think we showed that we could be a little bit of a tougher team mentally and physically yesterday. And I think we're going to have that same type of mindset. Nothing's going to come easy offensively. We're going to have to play through contact on our drives. We're going to have to be mentally tough enough to make catch and shoot shots. And we're going to have to be a lot better defensively. I think it was a game where we didn't do a great job fronting the post. We let them get a lot of baskets going inside out, and we've got to be better within our defensive principles, and we've got to be tougher offensively to drive the basketball and finish through contact and play and do what we do, and not let their little bit of physicality take us out of what we want to do.
There she is, the head coach of the Valpo basketball program, Mary Evans. Again, the season's coming down the final stretch with hoops in the Heartland right around the corner. So for all the latest in Valpo women's basketball, you can follow us on social media or check out valpoathletics.com. We'll talk to you again next week on Valpo Basketball Weekly, and it's sponsored by our friends at Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.